All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go from Texas. Chad Ragsdale, Richie Joplin up front. David Lux, Patrick Pieper on the second row. Clay Kirchenbauer, Edmund Jones on the third. Bradley James, Ryan McDaniel round out the top 8. They also round out the Gen 6 cars. The ARCA cars have been sorted to the back, starting with Jacob Morgan in 9th, Andy Wilkinson in 10th, Richard Cragen in 11th, Austin Ruskoff in 12th, Brian Hewitt in 13th, Larry Waits rounding out the 14-car field. Hey, good evening, Jason. Well, you guys got here just in the nick of time. For those who are just getting here, this is a multi-class race. So the numbers in blue are the new ARCA car. The numbers in yellow are the Gen 6 Cup cars. This is definitely going to be wild. We'll talk some more about those numbers between the two cars here in a moment, but here they go. Rolling out for the pace lap. Doing great, Jason. How are you? Hey, good evening, Tina. I'm doing good. How are you? Jason, it's all right, buddy. Glad you could be here tonight. This is definitely going to be a wild one. The cars in yellow, the Gen 6 Cup cars, the cars with the blue numbers, ARCA cars. The Gen 6s are more powerful and lighter, but so far tonight, the ARCA cars have been the fastest. Be interesting to see how they play out here in just a second. As the pace car dives in, here we go. The green flag flies and the winter season is underway and there's problems. Right off the start, Ryan McDaniel, I think, was in the wrong gear, didn't get going. Andy Wilkinson is showing a penalty. I suspect that'll get cleared. That was kind of out of his control. We've got a wreck on the backstretch. Caution is out, lap 1. Jacob Morgan, Brian Hewitt, Andy Wilkinson, Austin Ruskoff, Ryan McDaniel, all involved. Let's take a look at what caused that mess. Here they come. Oh, Jacob Morgan was leading on another car, bounced off. And looks like the rest of this was a reaction, everybody trying to avoid it. There you see Jacob spinning. Several cars check up and move up, and they just pile in. Taking a look down from the chopper at this one. There you see Jacob gets loose, bounces off. As they check up ahead, they go spinning down the backstretch. Larry Waits, who started tail end of the field, has moved up to 6th already. Jason, I am so sorry to hear that, buddy. I am glad she's doing well. Will she be able to be home for the holidays? All right, we mentioned, and we'll be talking about it, is Multiclass. As we mentioned, the ARCA cars have the blue numbers. They also have the least horsepower. They only have 750 horsepower compared to the Gen 6 Cup cars, which run over 750. And the Cup car is 125 pounds lighter as well. But somehow, these ARCA cars have been the fastest all night long. Jacob Morgan still sitting on pit road. Austin Ruskoff is back in. A couple of them are back in to top off. As the lights go out on the pace car, well, we got a caution early. Let's get loud early. So when the green flag drops, I'm going to shut up, let you guys crank it up, and listen to this very mixed bag of high horsepower cars. Normally we test the crank it up beforehand, couldn't get to the cars or enough cars together of different classes, so I know it's going to sound good, but hope you guys enjoyed tonight's Crank It Up. If you like the Crank It Ups, don't forget we do have a whole playlist on our YouTube channel. Alright, pace car dives in. And the green flag flies. Crank it up, y'all. Beautiful. You can definitely tell which ones were the ARCA cars. They definitely seem to have a deeper tone. Chad Ragsdale still up front, followed by Richie Joplin, but the fastest lap so far, last time by, was set by Jacob Morgan. And Jacob is yeeting it to the front. Jacob already up to fifth. Brian Hewitt is with him in sixth. Both drivers in ARCA cars, both closing in on the top four. I don't think these Cup cars stand a chance. Richie Joplin going for the lead. Clay Kirchenbauer has had a problem. Back behind, he has towed it in. We will not see the caution, but we can see what happened to Clay. All right, let's see. Backing it up a little bit more. it together, coming through 3 and 4. They gets all the way down to the apron, but at that speed, he can't get back up on track. And it looks like he hit hard enough, the engine just lets go. And we've got 4 wide at the front. 4 wide, now they're down to 3 wide, that's a little bit better. Look at Hewitt cutting through, Jacob cutting through. Those boys in those ARCA cars, they are having one heck of a fun night. Oh, Jacob's in the wall. He gets into Brian. They're wrecking behind. Caution. Wow. Well, there is definitely a noticeable speed difference. Let's see, take another look at this. Looking down from the chopper. There's Jacob as he starts flying up on the Gen 6. Look at the run he has. Tries to get to the outside, that line gets blocked, he smacks the wall, gets into Hewitt, Hewitt gets the car below. Wow. Looks like Edmund Jones he was in the black car down on the bottom that Hewitt gets into. Man, those ARCA cars are just that much faster on the straights. Edmund comes up, gets into Jacob, and that's all she wrote. Well, that was a bit wild. Jacob Morgan is on pit road. Edmund Jones is in. Bradley James coming in as well. A few random black flags are actually popping up for some of the drivers. I suspect the admins will clear them. Andy Wilkinson, now the highest running ARCA car in 4th. Brian Hewitt is back out in 6th. Austin in 7th. Larry Waits in 9th. Clay Kirchenbauer is back out on track. Chad Ragsdale, Richie Joplin, David Lux, Andy Wilkinson, and Ryan McDaniel, the top 5. Richard Cragen getting the lucky dog. He is getting waved around. Also, the black flags have been cleared. Now that we know that the ARCA car is so much faster, next week at Michigan will really be interesting. Austin Roscoff has done his thing. He has come in to top off. It is worth noting that the Gen 6 cars can actually go about 5 laps further than the ARCA cars on fuel. Jacob Morgan is back out on track as well. In fact, as of right now, Clay Kirchenbauer is the only driver not on the lead lap. Gen 6 cars up front, but that 26 car on the high side, the highest running ARCA, that likely going to see Andy come flying by the leaders here in a moment. All right, here we go. The green flag flies again. Chad Ragsdale quickly to the lead. A little bit of a stack up mid-pack just due to the fact two different sets of cars and two different speeds off the line. But keep an eye on fourth place, Andy Wilkinson. We've got a big battle going on back here. We've got three wide mid-pack. Andy Wilkinson has that big run coming out of turn 4. And man, it is a mess as Brian Hewitt and Jacob Morgan look like those two are working together to get back to the front. Richie Joplin, David Lux, Chad Ragsdale, all three continue to battle it out up front. Jacob Morgan has just about caught the leaders again. Brian Hewitt not far behind. Austin Ruskoff and Richard Cragen also right there. Larry Wade's trying to fight his way back through the field as well. Whoa, we've got trouble in turn 4, one car in the wall. David Lux took a hard hit into the turn 4 wall. He has dropped all the way to 13. Meanwhile, Jacob Morgan, Brian Hewitt on the march. Jacob once again to the high side on Edmond. He peeked up the middle, three wide, backed out of it. Richie still in control up front, but for how much longer? Jacob going to the bottom. That ARCA car is just flying around Texas tonight. Whoa, a little bit of a bobble. They're three wide for the lead. But Jacob's going to clear into turn 1. Edmond follows him through. Brian Hewitt is now up into third. David Lux has made it into pit road. Andy Wilkinson surprisingly has dropped back to 6th. David Lux on his way back out. Jacob Morgan now has the lead. Brian Hewitt in second. Austin Ruskoff now in third. Edmund Jones holds on to fourth, but has Andy closing in. Folks, I have a sneaking suspicion next week in Michigan, we're going to see a lot more ARCA cars. They are flying around here. Now, everybody has been to pit road at some point, and with the caution laps, it will extend the fuel run. ARCA cars looking at about 30 to 35 laps on a tank of fuel. The Gen 6 cars, they're looking at about 35 to 38 laps. So if this continues to stay green, you're going to see two distinct different races happening on track. Richard Cragen now up into 7th. Richie Joplin, who was leading a few moments ago, is now back into 8th. Edmund Jones, currently the highest running Gen 6 car, sits in 6th place. Patrick Pieper is on pit road. This is unexpected. Jacob Morgan is checking out. Already has a 1 second lead on Brian Hewitt, Austin Ruskoff, and Andy Wilkinson. Larry Waits back in 5th. Richard Cragen in 6th. Edmund right behind in 7th. And this field, which started with the Gen 6 cars in the front half, is now all ARCA in the top 6. Jacob Morgan in the Jeff Gordon paint scheme tonight. He is taking them to school. Richie Joplin dropping back to 8th, is now losing ground to Edmund. Chad Ragsdale currently in 9th. Bradley James in 10th. Ryan McDaniel in 11th. Patrick Pieper, David Lutz, Clay Kirchenbauer. Those three, one or more laps down. Brian Hewitt flew through the field early on. He followed Jacob to the front, but now sits 1.8 seconds back. He's got Austin and Andy right there with him. Have to wonder if those three can work together to get back to him. It's a bit of a surprise to see the less powerful ARCA cars dominating this race. Patrick Pieper is back out on track, currently in 12th. David Lux in 3rd. Oh! Lux, no, that is not Lux. That was Richie Joplin having a problem. See if we can see what. Oh, he gets into the wall, bounces off Lux, hits the other wall. He has made it to pit road. Jacob's lead holds at about 1.8 seconds. Brian Hewitt, Andy Wilkinson still together. Austin losing a little ground. Colby, I think you're right. It has 50 less horsepower. The ARCA car has 50 less horsepower and weighs 125 pounds more. Somehow, it's out here dominating. The drivers did say it was really good in the draft. I'm guessing it has the best aero package. Michigan next week will be interesting, as Jacob Morgan is coming into lap traffic. Ryan moves high, lets the leader by. Brian Hewitt, Andy Wilkinson, and Austin Ruskoff coming not far behind as Chad Ragsdale is in for his first green flag stop. We saw Patrick Pieper in earlier. I'm wondering if he's playing a short pit game. Patrick currently holds on to 11th, as it looks like Ragsdale may have picked up a penalty. Austin Ruskoff and Andy Wilkinson now going to battle it out for third. That is allowing Cragen and Waits to get closer. And Richard Cragen is the first ARCA car in. Remember, the Gen 6 can go about 5 laps more than the ARCA car, so we're likely only a lap or two from seeing the rest of the ARCA cars come in. About to see how strategy is going to play out here tonight. Andy Wilkinson is in. Andy is around. Richard Cragen has also come in. There's Andy bringing it down to pit road. Looks like he got on the brakes about the same time he blinked, and that sent him around. Edmund Jones, still the highest running Gen 6 car, followed by Bradley James. Edmund in 5th, Bradley currently in 6th. As pit stops play out. And Jacob Morgan is just putting it to him tonight. He has just gone by and lapped another car. Bradley James not that far ahead of the leader at the moment. Ryan McDaniel has moved back up into 7. He is starting to regain some ground here. Patrick Pieper is a couple spots back in 9th and about half a track. Hey, Richie.
Hi, Doug. How you doing?
You had a rough ending to that.
Nah, I didn't have a rough ending. I still had a faster pair. I just overcorrected because they'd not updated them cars, and I didn't have force feedback right in the car.
Uh-oh.
Like I was riding around with no power steering. Well, too much power steering. How's that? It was real light. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Would
yeah,
feel,
that's never a fun time.
yeah. So yeah, and then I got a big race that I qualified for. So I had to race it right here in a little bit. So
Well, good luck,
that's
buddy. I
why.
know the race you're talking about. Good luck to you and the team.
Yes, sir. You have a good one. And thank you for broadcasting C12, man.
My
I
pleasure,
really
buddy.
appreciate you doing it. Later.
See ya. Larry Waits has just come to pit road, as has Ryan McDaniel. Edmund Jones continue to stay out. A lot of the Gen 6 cars appear to be stretching just as much as the ARCA cars. Ryan McDaniel is on his way back out. Jacob Morgan was in on lap 12. So we should see him in the next lap or two. Then things are going to get really interesting. Hey, good evening, MP. How are you? Jacob Morgan out front, continuing to dominate and continuing to stretch fuel. Up here he comes. Jacob Morgan brings the ARCA car to pit road. Austin Ruskoff, Brian Hewitt also coming in. I'm doing great tonight, MP. How many times have you seen a Gen 6 car versus an ARCA car at Texas? And it looks like Austin and Brian may have gotten penalties, may have been speeding coming in. Jacob Morgan appears to be okay. He'll be back out, but Edmund Jones has just taken the lead in the Gen 6 car. Jacob Morgan is back out. Austin Ruskoff, Brian Hewitt serving their penalties at the moment. Richard Cragen, now the highest running ARCA car, in third. He is closing in on Bradley James and Edmund Jones. But Bradley and Edmund have not been in. They probably have about 2, maybe 3 more laps worth of fuel in the Gen 6 car. And the caution is back out. And Andy Wilkinson was on his way in and picked up a black flag. And the caution is out for Clay Kirchenbauer. Let's see what went wrong. All right. Oh, Andy, those ARCA cars have such a big run, especially coming out of turn 4. Take a look from the chopper and you'll see the closing distance. That ARCA car just so much faster coming out of turn 4. Add to that fact that I do believe Clay was on old tires. He had not been in yet. And he was on fresh Goodyears, man. Wow. We kind of knew pit stops would get a little bit wonky, especially factoring in the ARCA cars with fresh tires versus the Gen 6 on old tires, because the Gen 6 can go further on fuel. Edmund Jones is leading a lot of them in, but Jacob Morgan is going to stay out and reclaim the lead. All right, rumor has it that the ARCA cars may have had the wrong engines installed coming into tonight's race. There will be some testing done this week, and the ARCA car may have less horsepower next week. Still weird that, that Gen 6 car has 50 more horse, and the ARCA car just seems to cut through the air better. The Gen 6 drivers, we mentioned it in pre-race, did say that car really grips and was handling really good around here tonight. But a grippy car is not a fast car. All right, lights are out. They will get the one to green. Ryan McDaniel is getting waved by, along with Chad Ragsdale getting one of their laps back. This is going to be interesting. Jacob Morgan on the inside in an ARCA. Edmund Jones on the outside in a Gen 6. And then on the second row, Bradley James in a Gen 6 on the inside. Austin Ruskoff should be lining up on the outside. Austin may have an issue. Austin has dropped to the tail of the field. We'll see. But as it, man, a lot of cars single file at the moment. Now Richard Cragen in the ARCA car on the outside of row 2. Like I said, gonna be an interesting restart. All right, pace car dives in. And the green flag flies again at Texas. And Jacob Morgan, man, what a launch. Here comes Cragen. Ryan McDaniel appears to have had a problem off the start. That was odd. Cragen takes second place up top. Edmund Jones now in third, Bradley James in fourth. Brian Hewitt is on the march. We saw Brian cutting through the field earlier on. Cragen is just about caught back up to Hewitt. Let's see what happened with Ryan on the restart. right, there's... Oh! Looks like he got on the gas a little too soon. Got into the back bumper of Austin Ruskoff. Sent himself down to the infield, but did recover. Edmund Jones in third, Bradley James in fourth, Austin Ruskoff and Larry Waits, both in the ARCA cars, back behind, trying to make their way back toward the front. Larry trying to use that high line, but lost some ground. There is a wreck out of turn 4. And the caution is back out. Looks like Bradley James may have been involved as well, as we saw heavily damaged Brian Hewitt. Let's take a look. Oh, Hewitt, big loose out of 4, smacks the wall, gets into Bradley. Wow. And a couple of guys just barely shooting the gap. Now we are very close to the fuel window for the Gen 6 car. The ARCA car needs almost another 10 laps before they can pit and make it. Now how many will we see come in and top off here? Well, it looks like Edmund Jones, Richard Cragen, Bradley James, Larry Waits, Ryan McDaniel all coming in. Brian Hewitt appears to be out of the race. Chad Ragsdale out of the race. Andy Wilkinson, and of course, Richie Joplin all out early. So 2 ARCA cars have the front row. At the moment, it looks like 2 Gen 6s on the second row, and then a mixed bag after that. All right, they should get the 1 to green this time by. Still 8 cars on the lead lap, and it's an even split for ARCA for Gen 6. Ryan McDaniel currently 1 lap down in the lucky dog position. Clay Kirchenbauer also has gotten some of his laps back, but still a couple more to go. Jacob Morgan, Austin Ruskoff on the front row. Pieper and James have the second row. Cragen, Edmund Jones, Larry Waits, David Lux ran out the lead lap cars. Ryan McDaniel, Clay Kirchenbauer, one or more laps down. All right, here they come. Out of turn 4, Jacob Morgan in control. The pace car dives in. And the green flag flies again. Jacob fires and is away. Man, Austin didn't get as good of a launch as Jacob did. Meanwhile, as we've seen on every one of these restarts, they're already 2 wide. Likely going to be 3 wide here in a moment. All right, next week in Michigan is going to be a wild one once they have all 20 cars, 20 plus cars, back on track in 2 different classes. Larry Waits is showing a black flag. He's coming in. There have been a few oddball black flags here tonight. Let's take a look at Larry Waits for a moment. All right, here they are on the restart. Look like Larry did not get going. They may have gotten hit. Take a look down from the chopper. Ryan jumps to the high side. Nope, no contact. Larry just gets on the power and the back end steps out. Richard Cragen in third just set the fastest lap of the night, 28.9. Edmund Jones now in fourth, Pieper in fifth. I'm sorry, Bradley James in fourth, Pieper in fifth, Edmund in sixth, David Lux in seventh. Ryan McDaniel now up into eighth. And at this moment, everybody in the field is now within their fuel window. They can go the distance. They can come to pit road for that final fuel stop anytime. Edmund Jones, David Lux battling it out back behind. Edmund in sixth, Lux in seventh. Ryan McDaniel just ahead, a lap down from these two. But trying to race his way back toward the front. Bradley James sits there in fourth, right behind Clay Kirchenbauer in ninth. Yeah, Multiclass does get a little wonky at times. And Patrick Pieper at the back of that group, Patrick currently in fifth. "30 laps to go here at Texas." Jacob starting to open up a little bit of breathing room. Austin Ruskov has been up battling in the top 5 pretty much all night. One of the guys that came through the field early in the ARCA car. The Gen 6s are 7.7 seconds behind. Well, that just goes to show you the ARCA car appears to be the faster car. However, as we mentioned, the admins will be making some changes going into next week. That's going to be interesting. Kragan looked a little squirrely coming out of turn 2 that time. As we mentioned earlier, the Gen 6 cars handling really good, have a ton of grip. The ARCA cars are really fast, but does look like they have been a bit squirrely all night long. Bradley James still sitting at 4th, Pieper in 5th. Edmund about 3 1/4 seconds back with Lux right there with him. Austin Ruskov is starting to lose touch with the top 2. And Austin looked a bit out of shape coming out of 4 that time. Now every driver is going to have to come in and top off on fuel at some point. Every driver except for Larry Waits, who has fixed his car. He is back out on track. And he may be able to go the distance on fuel. From when he was in, it'll be close. Jacob's lead shrinking just a little bit. Kragan closing in. Bradley James starting to open up a bit of a gap on Pieper. Edmund Jones, meanwhile, is closing in on Patrick. Edmund about 1.4 seconds back and gaining. If these two, Austin still within striking distance, if these two start battling. Also, Larry Waits in 10th is closing in on Clay in 9th rapidly. Larry about 8.5 seconds back, but he is closing very quickly. Saw a lot of black flags on that first green flag stop. Everybody's going to be a bit more careful this time. How much will that shake things up? Knowing your final stop, you've got to be extraordinarily careful. Austin Ruskov has pulled back up to Kragan and Morgan. Meanwhile, Bradley James has opened up a 1 1/4 second on Edmund. Pieper is in. Clay is in. Neither driver picked up a black flag this time. Patrick Pieper already on his way out. Looks like fuel only. Clay took 4 tires and fuel. Now the question is, when does this group, the top 3 ARCA cars, when are they coming in? Do they stretch as long as possible, or do they come in early and hope the fresh tires are enough to fight it out? Jacob Morgan had a big lead earlier, but now Cragen is right on his bumper. Morgan has led the most laps here tonight. Can he hold on for another 17 laps and 1 pit stop? Patrick Pieper in the Gen 6 has the 2 ARCA cars closing in. Austin Ruskoff gave up 3rd. He is in. Patrick in the Gen 6 did not take tires. It was a fuel-only stop. And we saw the outcome of old Gen 6 tires and new ARCA tires earlier on in the race. Now, folks, normally I would tell you if you missed any of the race, make sure you check it out on our YouTube channel, but we've had a glitch with the recording, so it's probably not going to be on there till tomorrow. Jacob Morgan gives up the lead. He's on his way in. Richard Cragen stays out, leads for the first time tonight. And Cragen is, oh no! Cragen has a problem coming in. He is in big trouble. He is out of the racing surface. We will not see a caution. David Lux is in. And Lux has picked up a black flag. There's Cragen. Just when you get down there and split it, when you split the banking down to the flat apron, things go wrong quickly. Did look like minimal damage to Cragen's car. Bradley James now has the lead. David Lux, as we mentioned, picked up a speeding penalty on his way in. That gives Edmund Jones a little bit of breathing room. Now the top 2 are now the Gen 6 cars of Bradley James in the lead, Edmund Jones in second. Now, I don't believe either driver could go the distance, as Cragen and the ARCA car just walked by the Gen 6. Man, those ARCA cars are fast. And watch this, Cragen out of 4. That's where the ARCAs have been the fastest all night long over the Gen 6s. Coming out of turn 4, they just get a huge run down the front straightaway. Oh! Cragen kisses the wall. Jacob Morgan is now up to 3rd and closing on the top 2. But here is the interesting question. Bradley James, Edmund Jones, the top two, both Gen 6 cars, were last in on lap 60. Most of the drivers in the Gen 6 had 35, 38 laps on a tank of fuel, maybe 40 if they stretch it. Can they conserve enough without giving up enough speed for Jacob Morgan to get back to the front? And Austin Roscoff is still right in Morgan's tire tracks. I don't believe Austin Roscoff has ever won a C12 event. Jacob Morgan has slightly fresher tires by 2 laps. Can Austin overcome that to get to victory lane here tonight? Bradley James, Edmund Jones, 8 laps to go, have not come in. Richard Cragen has somehow picked up a black flag. I'm gonna assume somebody will clear that for him. Not exactly sure how he got it. Bradley James and Edmund Jones are going to be so close on fuel, but the bigger problem is Jacob is closing quickly. He is now just over 4 seconds behind, and Austin Roscoff is on his bumper. Cragen is coming in. Bradley James still holds the lead by 1 1/4 seconds over Edmund. 5 to go. Jacob 1.5 seconds back. And Austin Roscoff still with him. The 2 ARCA cars are closing quickly. It may come down to who has the most fuel. Jacob has caught second place Edmund Jones. And nothing Edmund can do to slow down that ARCA speed. Austin Roscoff out of turn 2 will likely take third as Jacob has now caught the leader. Jacob has reclaimed the lead. We've talked about all night how fast the ARCA car is around here, but man, Jacob himself has been like a bullet all night. Austin Roscoff now up to third, but about to take second from Bradley James. And 2 laps to go for Jacob Morgan. Austin Roscoff lost some ground coming through lap traffic. He's now over 2 seconds back. And here we go, the white flag flies. One more time around Texas Motor Speedway for Jacob Morgan, who has just dominated the night in the ARCA car. came through the chaos, shot to the front very early on. After starting in ninth, he has been unstoppable. And Jacob Morgan is back in victory lane. He wins at Texas. Austin Ruskoff has an amazing race, comes home in second. And Bradley James manages to conserve enough fuel. He comes home in third. That was completely unexpected, folks. All right, let's see if we can talk to our top three, starting with Bradley. Bradley, how much did you have to conserve on that final run, buddy?
Not very much. I kind of just try to maintain the pace. I'm a lap to the good.
That's impressive. When I talked to the guys before the race, everybody said 38, 39 maybe. So he managed to get an extra really lap and a half out of it.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of lifting into one. I felt like that was able to save me a little bit more than some guys.
Well, man, it definitely worked out there for a while. I mean, 5 to go, you were out front, but the ARCA they had way more speed than expected tonight.
Oh yeah, they were scary at times. It's like, where are we going?
No, it was wild. Man, a great job. Way to stay alive and in one piece, and a great race, buddy. Congrats.
Appreciate it, Doug.
Bradley James comes home in third. Austin Ruskoff in second. Austin, I could be wrong, but I think this is your best finish ever in C12 Motorsports.
It actually might be. I was thinking about that too.
I believe you had a third during the last season before the Dominator joined. And yeah, because this is only like the second time I've got to talk to you in this league.
No, normally I'm a field fielder, but tonight we ran pretty decent tonight.
How much fun were those cars tonight?
Oh, they were a lot of fun. I mean, it was fun trying to get by those Gen 6 cars and the ARCA cars. Like, we were so close together. Like, it was just fun racing.
Oh, man, you guys put on one heck of a show and one heck of a race, buddy. Congratulations. That was awesome.
Thank you, Doug.
And finally, our winner, Jacob Morgan. Jacob, it's been a while. I have the rule I won't interview you before or during a race, and it worked out tonight, buddy.
Yeah, it worked out, man. I picked the right car, man. I didn't even know it was a multi-class before I got in this thing.
Well, it was. You did, and you dominated the crap out of it. In fact, had that caution not come out right around lap 60, I think you'd have just lapped the entire field. You were the fastest car, the fastest ARCA car, and just dominated.
Yeah, it was pretty fun, man. Especially in 3 and 4, you could just hold it wide open the whole fuel run.
You guys definitely got big runs early on. When you guys had to start at the back, you could tell you had some major speed coming out of turn 4. You close a gap on those Gen 6s or fly by 2 or 3 of them down the front stretch. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah, man, it was unbelievable, man. I would have thought the Gen 6 would have just whooped our butts tonight, but hey, see what we did.
Well, you had less power, more weight, still managed to get it done, man. Congratulations. That was one heck of a run, buddy.
But yeah, man. Thank you, Doug.
It's been a while, but Jacob Morgan is back in victory lane. Folks, don't know what to tell you about tomorrow. We might stream tomorrow evening. Might do our usual convoy. Maybe not. I don't know. But there's definitely plenty on YouTube to keep you entertained. So make sure you're following on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. And we will see you soon. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.